Hello and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host Lee Zimmerman with my producer, co-host, and good buddy Billy Hubbard. And today we're excited to have the one, the only Verlon Thompson joining us.
Oh,
yeah. Verlon, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm so good and so happy to be here with you guys.
Really?
Yeah,
Let's
I really
hope you feel that way at the end of the podcast.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how it
we'll
goes.
see. We're talking to you at the station here where you have performed many times.
Yeah.
What number of visit is this for you here? Do you have any idea?
I've lost count, but I'm going to say 6, 7, 8.
Wow.
Yeah, something that sounds pretty close.
Maybe somewhere around in there. I've been here myself a bunch of times with Sean, I think a couple of times.
That's right.
With Sean Camp.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I don't know. Not enough. I'll say that. Not enough.
Well, maybe not enough because you sell out. It sells out every time you're here, which is a mark of your enduring popularity, sir. That's pretty good.
Either that or it's a mark of there's nothing else to do up here in the hills of East Tennessee. But I don't think that's true.
That's not the
'cause there's
case,
a lot
Verlon.
of stuff.
That's not the case at all.
I like the story, though, that somebody wrote about how he come the first time. He said, man, people just came out of the woodwork or something.
Yeah, they came out of the woods.
Yeah.
They just came out of the hollers and just showed up. It was like it was like almost that, what was that baseball thing where you build it?
Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
It's like
and they will
build
come.
the station, they will come.
Yes.
And they just came out of the woods and the holler.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, we are far from the city lights. We're in Blount County, Tennessee.
Oh, it's perfect, too. Beautiful.
Foothills
out
of the
here.
Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. It really is.
Yeah.
So you're based in Nashville, are you not?
Yes, sir, I am.
And you're not home all that much because you're always touring and on the road, right? Pretty much.
A lot. I had enough rest during the whole COVID thing. So now I'm it's kicking back in and I'm getting back out there. But, and I only do, most of the time I'll leave on a Thursday or Friday and then I'll be home usually by Sunday night. So
that's great.
I don't go out and stay for a month like some people do. I like to come back home and regroup.
Yeah. Many artists say that they're not that when they're on stage, you're getting them for free. You're really paying them to travel. But when you're on stage, it's like,
that I throw that in just for paying me to travel and more so than ever now with the airport delays
it's
and
a hassle.
Just everything seems like the road surfaces all over the country are in terrible shape, and it's a forced march to get somewhere.
Flying with your guitars and gear, man, that's pretty stressful in itself.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Especially that one you got.
Yeah.
Got a story I'll tell us later on that one.
Oh, really?
His guitar story about the one. There it is.
Yeah.
One I can't pronounce the name of very well. But.
Yeah, it's a bourgeois. Bourgeois. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say it, but
bourgeois.
Bourgeois. It's
bourgeois.
You got to be French to say it right.
Okay. Yes.
So that leaves us all out, guys.
Yeah. Although I have to say, Verlon, that I have an email address. My name is Lee Zimmerman, but I couldn't get LEEZIM for my email. For some reason, it was taken, so I had to stick with Lezim, Lezim. So I am kind of French.
Oh,
I am
like
kind of French.
I like it.
Yeah. So Verlon, it's been a little while since you've been here, at least a year, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's been about a year.
So what's been happening? What have you been up to?
Oh man, the most recent thing, the thing that's really on my mind right now is I went over to Scotland.
Wow.
And I've been over there once before to do this same kind of thing. And it basically we take over, I have a class of about 15 people. And we take over a castle, a 17-room castle. And we live in this castle for about a little more than a week. And we talk songwriting and do all that. But this last time I went back, I decided I wanted to somehow capture some of the magic that I experienced with some of the Scottish pickers and players
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
So rather than a songwriting class, I did a recording, castle recording. We had microphones all over the castle and had fiddle players and Scottish singers, and we just had a great time. And so my head is still in Scotland because I've been listening to all these tracks,
Yeah.
for the last month, and that's what's most present in my head right now.
Tennessee music, a lot of it, my family kind of is greatly influenced, from the.
Oh, these hills right here, a
that's
lot of Scottish folks
Yes.
came and settled here, and
Yes.
that music runs deep in these hollers.
So when will we expect to see this project?
Lee, I have no idea. My wife came along and filmed the whole thing too,
Wow,
so
great.
I think it'll turn out to be a kind of a full-length documentary of the experience with some sort of a album of maybe vinyl,
Cool.
and who knows, a picture book. Who knows what we might have? But
Wow.
I don't know. It just there's no real schedule. I'm just.
Well, now we're in suspense, anticipation. I think we need to, have some kind of idea here. I'm psyched for that.
Yeah, maybe soon I'll have to at least put some sort of, pending date just
Yes.
to get my own butt up and moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you had the project at Barnegie Hall, I guess, and that I saw that's a man. That I was looking at through some of your pictures, and I thought, man, you had a pretty good, looked like a professional crew there, big with your wife.
Yeah,
and
we
I guess
did.
There,
She was
turned out great.
Yeah, yeah. I think we had 12 or 13 people manning the lights and cameras and the audio and everything, and thanks to her. She's been in that business a long time.
Well, that's the
and-
coolest barn I think I've seen, man. You had
You know what? The station here, it reminds me of my barn home. It really does. It's I took the shell of a barn and then turned the interior into a home using a bunch of other logs and beams from another structure that I disassembled. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that was hard dragging all those heavy logs. Right?
Oh,
You did it all
yeah.
yourself, right?
I did it all myself. Actually, I did do most of. I did the
did you?
demolition and the moving. I rented a dump truck and a tractor with a front loader on it, and I moved not only the logs and the beams, but all of the stone foundation because it was hand carved by the old guys that built it.
Okay.
And I said, so it's included in my house too. All this
man.
beautiful hand cut limestone and.
Somebody from Oklahoma, a farm boy, can do that kind of stuff, I'm
Well,
sure.
plus this was about 20 years ago when I was younger.
I was going to say, my
Yeah.
back is hurting just you describing it that way.
I couldn't even climb in the truck now,
Oh
Lee.
my gosh! So that material, the structure, when did it date back to? When does it date back to?
18,
Wow.
I think it was 1840, I think.
Oh my gosh!
It was a homestead that was given to this guy who fought in the, I think it was the Indian War.
Yeah, yeah.
And in
Yeah.
return for his service, they gave him this homestead, and it was there right outside of Nashville, real close to where they now have the Cool Springs Mall. In fact, that's why they were, that's why they were destroying this homestead. And they were just going to doze it down.
Oh my God!
So I swooped in and grabbed all that and hauled it to my place, which was on the other side of Nashville, about 20 miles, and dumped it out in the pasture, and people thought I was crazy and thought I was starting a salvage yard. But anyway, I got me a nice little place out of it.
Wow, that sounds beautiful. That sounds beautiful.
Those
My little-
episodes are available on Amazon Prime still? That's where
I
first
think
saw
they still are on there. Yeah, there's 13 episodes, and basically it was a songwriting discussion, and I went through my Rolodex and called people like Waylon Holyfield, who wrote Could I Have This Dance? And I called Richard Lee, who wrote
Yes.
Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue? And I
Yes.
called Sean Camp, and I called Mary Gaucher, and I called Susie Boggess, and the list goes on for 13 episodes. And,
Wow.
Yeah, that's
and it was like they just come over to the house, and we talked and picked and made a show out of it.
Wow. Well, of course, I mean, you have tremendous expertise in the songwriting scene. I mean, you've written for so many people. Your credits are pretty awesome. They really are.
Well, I've just been doing it a long time. You know,
Wow.
if you do something for 40 years, you kind of get a pretty good list of stuff together. But I wasn't one of those, like a lot of guys I'm sure y'all interview that had hit after hit after hit. I was kind of one of those guys that, which was fine with me. I didn't have that many hits, but I had cuts on about every other album that came out back in the 80s and 90s, and that was enough to keep me above water with my publishing company, you know, because the agreement is if you're not getting songs recorded, they're not making enough money to pay you. So the pressure is on. You're working against your advance is what you're doing. Yeah. Or I was, not everybody does. But so I kept going for 25 years, you know.
Well, you're obviously still very prolific as well, right? I mean, you're still...
Not like I used to be, because I'm not signed to a publishing company anymore. I'm self-published, and so I don't have the motivation to go do it every day. I did that for so long. I'd had enough of that. So now I have the luxury of just writing what I want and when I want to, and I don't have to write about anything that doesn't move me or that I have no use for.
Right.
You know, I'm not writing for the market anymore. I'm writing for me. Songs
For
I can
you,
do tonight. Sit up here tonight and sing for y'all.
So, I'm curious, what is your motivation? How do these song ideas come to you? I mean, now that you're writing without a specific intent for someone else, writing from the heart, I guess, where do you get the inspiration from?
I don't know. A lot of it is, it's just things that happen to me, or basically, I've always felt like I was sort of a reporter. You know, I observe and then I report on what I see. And so just about every song I write is something that I've been involved with or witnessed or have some sort of connection to. I rarely just make up and even if I do, usually sprinkled throughout that song, there are elements of firsthand experience or truth of some kind.
So you're writing out the songs you lived, though, than the other way around. Let's see. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, and you can, if you sit here tonight, you'll see that everything I write is, I mean, it's kind of just like it's almost like a personal diary almost. I mean, it covers everything from my childhood days up through to last week almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I must say, though, I have just been at the station here and been to hundreds of shows that I've booked here even though I love the music, sometimes I just don't like to sit down and I wander around and my favorite thing is like tonight I go back, come over this side, look back in at the audience, and you're the most, I don't know, everybody's like a
Captivating.
kid. Yeah, captivating. Like kids
Captivating
listen
is
to
the
a story
word
because you're
I'm
such a good storyteller. That's really, you got something different.
Thanks, Billy. I try to approach it like not a show, but more like a conversation.
Yeah.
Like instead of saying I'm going to go play a show, I'm going to go have a nice visit with my friends, you know, and that's how I like to look at it. And it seems it takes the pressure off of putting on a show, and because every time I try to plan a professional show and make a set list, it just all goes to hell, you know.
Kind of like our podcast, Billy, where we don't plan anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're winging
Oh,
it.
but you guys are pros here.
We'll fake it till we make it.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
So of course, Verlon, it goes without saying, you had a wonderful era with the great Guy Clark,
Yeah.
and you share some of his songs, and it seems that so much of that experience is reflected in your presentation now, because you have wonderful stories. I personally don't get tired of hearing some of the more humorous stories that you share, but there's also a genuine emotion that you convey, and sadly we lost Sky some time ago, but it seems like the emotion lingers with you, and it's a very big part of how you feel.
It does, and it is, and especially certain nights. I never know. Like some nights, some nights it's good, and I just cruise through it, and it's, I don't get that emotional. But then there are nights when I don't know, the mood's right, and whatever it is, it depends on what I'm going through too. Yeah. But man, some nights I'll get in the middle of one of his songs, or even one of a story about him, and then it just hits me, and but it's all good, and the reason it's good is because we were truthful with each other. We had a very honest and open relationship. You had to work that closely, and be in rental cars and hotel rooms and tiny dressing rooms and studios, but we figured it out, and it was so cool that I love to try to share with people just how close and cool and heartfelt yet professional.
Yes,
we tried to be at all times, and I get in the middle of one of those songs, and all of that strikes me, and I remember, I'll have a flash of one of the moments that we shared, and then, but it's all good. It's all good stuff.
How many years were the two of you partnering together?
Well, I started with him when he made the Old Friends record, which was 87 or 8 or somewhere along in there. It was the late 80s. I've lost track really, and then I took a couple of little detours when I got a record deal, and of course that didn't last long, and then I had a couple other adventures, and but other than that, all the way till the end, I played. It's over 20 years.
Wow.
With him.
I mean, I remember you talking about that last time sitting at the table. You'd just come back from a trip, and the decision was, well, we've done it. This is it, and man, that hits the heart right there. Yeah, it was a tough moment, but as I tell in the story, Guy, in his own Guy Clark way, made a cool thing out of it, because, there we were at the end. We were at the end of the road, and instead of getting all worked up about it, Guy just rolled a cigarette, tapped it on the table, and leaned back, and he goes, "Now let's recap." And we started just telling stories, reliving stuff from the last 20-something years, and it turned out to be a sweet moment. Right. And I think he did it for me, because I think maybe more upset than he was, because he was tired, and I think, honestly, he stayed out there longer than he should have, for me as well, because I was making my living. A lot of my living came from the pay that Guy Clark was paying me. And he didn't want to
let me down, and I kind of said, Guy, I'm not taking. I put it this way. I said, Guy, I'm not going to take any more money from you.
Oh.
And that way, it kind of.
Right.
It wasn't like I quit or whatever. It was just like, if you want to keep going, we can keep going, but I'm not taking money for it. And that was sort of the opening I think he took advantage of. And said,
Now, was he how much? I was trying to remember the age. His age was he older than you? Little?
He was 13 years old.
13. I thought he was about 10. Yeah. Wow.
He was more. Yeah. He was closer to my dad's age, So it was. And he was a lot like my dad in a lot of ways. Yeah. So that was another cool thing is, God, they, and when they met, oh my God, you'd have thought they was brothers,
Wow.
So,
man.
I tried that tack one time. I wanted to leave my job, but I was hoping I'd get some kind of golden parachute. And so I said to my employer, you know what, I'm not going to take any more money from you. And they said, great. Great, you're going to work for free? Okay, we love it. I don't know. It didn't turn out the same. Didn't work out very well. I don't know.
Well, it is a risky move.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, now, Lee, if people don't know, now, Lee, he had a pretty big career down there with Capitol. Was it Miami, wasn't it?
Yeah, I worked for Capitol Records. I worked for well, this is going to age me, the late, great ABC Records.
Wow.
Jimmy Buffett, who you wrote for. That song Margaritaville. I have a gold record on my wall for it.
What did you promote it or what?
Yeah. Wow. The job was to get records played on the radio.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Tricky business.
Oh,
Very
I can't
tricky.
imagine.
Yeah.
Well, so you've served your time in the trenches too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you've done very, very well, Verlon. I mean, I guess you had to sort of reinvent yourself in a way for a solo career, right?
A little bit. Before I met Guy, I mean, I played all my life up until I met Guy, pretty much as a solo. For about 4 years, I had a band out in Colorado.
Oh.
But it was just a cover band. We played all the ski towns, and just it was the wild 70s,
Yeah.
But I was still doing a lot of solo stuff too. And then, when I got so busy with Guy, I just didn't have time to do much of my own. And honestly, when Guy passed, I thought, well, this may be the end of the road because I had sort of become known more than anything as Guy's sidekick.
Right.
And so I was expecting a lull, and lo and behold, the phone started ringing more than ever, and thankfully has continued to do so. And I'm just. It's crazy because I've never had a plan. I never, from day one when I was a kid, I never had a plan about what to do with my music. I just did it, and I just followed it wherever it led me. And it's what I'm still doing today. I don't have a plan, and
just whatever door. You know what? I always thought that was the way. Whatever door opens, if it looks right, go through it. That's what I've always lived.
Yeah.
Not just in music, but in everything.
And just give it everything you got every night. And I think that's the main thing, and I got a lot of that from Guy Clark. I watched him. He did the same thing. And I've always been a huge admirer of Willie and Willie Nelson's work ethic and how he hardly ever says no to any. It's great. Do you know how many duets he's done with people that he probably shouldn't have or didn't have to, but he did?
Yeah. It's the name Julio Iglesias come to mind. You're as good as I love before. Yeah. So
I remember
even when he go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember. I hope I got this right. I hope you're the thingers I'm thinking about. That you met Merle Haggard once, and Merle, you wanted to pitch a song or something.
Yeah.
That's a funny story. You want to tell that one?
Yeah, I was with. In fact, we were right here in Knoxville. Merle was playing Knoxville, and my old friend Billy Dean was opening for Merle.
Yeah, he's on Barney.
Yeah, he's on one of the episodes, and he we've known each other forever, and he called me up and said, "Come over here, man. I want you to meet," because I'd never met Merle, and so we're getting ready to get on the bus, and I've got this. Well, I'm not sure what tune it was now that I come right down to it, but anyway, Billy wanted me to pitch a song to Merle on his bus, which I was against from the get-go. I was like, I don't want to bug Merle.
It's intimidating.
I know how that feels. You don't want to. Anyway, Billy was all gung-ho. We get on Merle's bus, and Billy gets over there in front of Merle, and he's like, "Merle, man, this is my friend Verlon. He writes these songs. He's got a song. It sounds just like you, man. You need to cut this. You need to hear this song. Merle sounds just like you." And Merle goes, "Son, I don't need any songs that sound like me. I am me. I got plenty of songs that sound like."
Wow. Well, that
We
must
just
have been
got-
a little intimidating.
And yeah, I just kind of said, "Thank you, sir," and walked out the back of the bus.
Wow.
It was like,
I'm sorry, Billy.
Go ahead.
No, we have had so many reminders of you, Mr. Thompson, because we've seen your commercial on TV.
is it still running?
I was going to ask you.
Well,
He still said it has been, I think.
is it?
Yeah,
They usually
it's great.
They usually started around this time of the year because it's a seasonal thing. Yeah, they purchased the rights for 5 years, and I've kind of lost track. I don't know if it's been 5 or not, or I don't know honestly if they re-upped for a longer period because I think they had that option too. But that all goes through my publisher.
Oh, you don't see the checks? I would think, if you see the checks, then the checks are still coming.
Well, but it takes almost a year after it goes into the account. You don't see it like tomorrow.
Yeah.
They got to sit on it and get interest on it.
But that it's a really cool commercial. Most of the time, the music is kind of background, and they create all these weird video things. But it focuses on you sitting there playing your song, and it's a really different kind of commercial, and it affects the viewer in a different sort of way. It's great.
It's a sweet message the way they put it together, and I wrote that song. It's been over 40 years ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I was in the service, and at the time I was stationed in Cyprus. It was my first time being away from home at Christmas, and so I sat down and wrote that to send, and I made up a bunch of little cassettes to send to my family and my friends, just to say, my heart is. I'm not there, but my heart is, and it was a gift, and so then it laid around for all that time.
Wow.
Well, I brought it with me to Nashville, and then they published it, but nothing really happened until, I guess it's been 5 or 6 years ago. Out of the blue, I got a call from the ad agency there in Knoxville, and they said, "We're looking for we need a seasonal song, but not a straight ahead Christmas thing, a seasonal thing." Yeah. And they said it's a locally owned bank, and they really love their community and customers, and they want to say thank you to them. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I think I got exactly what y'all need."
Oh, perfect.
Next thing I knew, they had me over here. It's a barn somewhere out here close to between here and Knoxville, and I sat in that barn and played, and they filmed me, and then they put all those other beautiful heart touching visuals to it.
Yeah. How many takes did you need to do? How many takes?
Shoot, I don't know. It wasn't long because I just drove over. They had it set up. I went in, played it 3 or 4 times, I guess, and I headed back home. Wow. And I didn't know what they would do, but I'm really proud of it. I am.
You should be.
You know how that is. Commercials, you're always afraid that you don't want to sell out.
No, you don't want to sell out, but you did sell out.
It's kind of like a Hallmark thing.
Yeah, it's almost hard. And the way they described it to me, I trusted them. I thought this sounds like a good organization and a good. And then when I saw it, and I had people come up to me all the time. I saw you on TV in Knoxville.
Yeah. Oh gosh, when we saw it, my wife Elisa and I, we went, we know that guy. We know that
What's
guy.
he doing on
TV? It was great. It was a great feeling. Yeah.
Well, it was a real nice lick. And thank you, Home Federal. They.
Oh wait.
Thank you.
I've been waiting on that to hit that button.
Yeah. No, they were very kind and compensated me very well.
Nice.
And,
Nice.
So it was just hopefully one of those win-win situations.
Right. We're waiting for your next one now. Your next,
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was going to ask you just because I know a lot of songwriters listen to this, and I was going to ask you. Say whenever you have as an artist, say you get someone a big name record one of your songs. I mean, do you ever hear much from them, or do you get, you know what I mean? Like I see
From them personally?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a whole lot of accolades sometimes from some of these big names. Like Jimmy Buffett might record.
Yeah,
a
no,
song,
you've had a lot of big name people record.
And a lot of people think they think, oh man, that guy wrote that song, and then you think, wait a minute, no, he didn't. Like Elvis didn't write any of his songs, But I mean, but
Yeah,
they don't. A lot of big artists don't give credit for the songwriter.
Yeah, but if you're really a songwriter, that's kind of how it works. I don't mind that a bit. Now, I will say when the Jimmy Buffett thing came out, on the first pressing of the album, which was that thing sold like 2 million copies in the first few weeks.
Wow.
But all of those, I think that first, whatever it was, several 100,000 did not have mine and Guy's name in the credits.
That's what I was going to ask you too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I look at
good.
records and I'll look and I'll think, years ago, I haven't paid attention lately, but back when vinyl, sometimes they just leave it off. I mean, I don't even know if that's legal, but I guess it don't matter.
Well, you're supposed to when you get the license, it says right in the license how you're supposed to put it, the language and the. Even sometimes the size, like it should be this size, and
Yeah.
But it was just a mistake. They just
you
didn't.
still got your royalties.
We got
right?
paid,
Okay.
and then the publishing company called the record label, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, our bad," So there's, I guess, it depends on when you bought the album. It might be
Collector's
on.
item.
Yeah, maybe a
Collectors
collector.
eBay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's wild.
But yeah, it's just a thought I had because I know I've heard different, somebody told me once, they said, I wrote this song and the guy never even gave me credit, or some songwriters tell me about that. But,
And the other thing, Billy, is everybody thinks you know them. If I wrote a song for Jimmy Buffett, they assume I know him. I've never met the man.
You've never met Jimmy Buffett?
No. Maybe you can work on that, Lee.
Yeah, maybe. It's only been 40 years, but no, of course.
He would know you.
So I'm curious, though, when you hear someone else recording one of your songs, do you sometimes think, no, that's not the way I would have done it. I wish they'd done more of this or that. Do you ever feel that way? Not that you would, make a complaint, but...
No, you don't make them, or I don't complain because I'm always honored, and thrilled.
Right.
But often I've had songs recorded. One in particular comes to mind. I'm not going to name the artist.
Oh, come on.
No.
Verlon Thompson? No.
I don't think they're even in the business now. But we had written this real sweet ballad, kind of a slow, pretty ballad. And they called and they said, we're going to record it, send us the lyric sheet and all this. And then the record came out and it was a up-tempo, snappy little. And I just thought, at least you could have asked us or told us or did something. It just came out and it was like, that ain't the way it goes.
that would be hard.
Yeah.
So, but, when I heard it, I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter because nobody's going to listen to this anyway. It wasn't. It
Oh,
wasn't
really?
very good. So
Oh,
I just thought,
oh.
you know, if I don't bring it up, no one will ever even know it happened because it was that that wrong. You know.
Wow.
But those are rare. I mean, I'll tell you one that really stopped me in my tracks that I wasn't expecting was the first song I ever had recorded by Susie Boggess. And it had kind of a Spanish feel to it. It was it's the only time really that I can remember that I heard one of my songs by somebody else, and I went, "That's exactly how I envisioned it."
Wow.
I remember the day they sat me in front of those speakers and said, "We're going to play your Susie Boggess record," you know, and it was called "Cross My Broken Heart." And it came on. It had the little maracas, you know, and the Spanish kind of guitars, and man, her pure voice. And I sat there and wept. I cried
Really?
at the mixing
Oh, my
board
gosh.
when I listened to it. Thought,
Wow.
now that is what I heard in my dream of this song, you know.
Dang, that's
So
great.
That's beautiful.
that was a beautiful moment.
That's beautiful.
So I was just going to ask. I was trying to remember somebody, but so you left Oklahoma, and how old were you? We'll wrap this up here in a minute. I know we got to get going, but
I left.
to do music. I mean, Nashville or wherever you ended up at.
Well, I left Oklahoma like 10 days after graduation and went into the service, and then I spent 4 years in the Marines actually, and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
and when I got out, I went straight to Colorado, and I was up there for about 4 years.
Nice.
And then I headed to. Somebody told me, well, it was one of my former drummers. Said, "Verlon, did you know they pay guys in Nashville just to sit around and make stuff up?" He said, "You do that all the time. Why don't you go get paid for it?"
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I was headed east in a U-Haul truck.
Wow.
So you're like Joe Walsh said. You had a lot more fun in the let's see 70s in your being 20 in the 70s and 70s in your 20s.
Yeah.
That's good, Joe.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably had a little too much fun in the 70s.
There's no such thing,
Nah.
Verlon Thompson.
Well,
There's no such thing. That's my philosophy.
Yeah, I made it through. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
Well, I guess we should probably wrap it up here, Lee.
Yeah, the audience is
It's getting
coming in
noisy
here.
They're getting restless.
Yeah, we're getting restless back here. So.
They're giving us the stink eye here.
Yeah, but if folks want to find you, of course, I'm sure I think it's just your name, right? VerlonThompson.com.
VerlonThompson.com, and I got there's a Facebook fan page, and that's about all there is to it.
Yeah, well,
catch me on the street and ask me anything you want to know, and
yeah, man.
guys, I've really enjoyed this. I appreciate it, and
It's a pleasure,
man. I
Verlon.
can't wait to tune you in and
Thank
hear
you.
some of the other folks you talked with.
Well, you know one thing. I know we have to wrap it up, but I'll just say this. Verlon, you are the individual on stage, off stage. You're genuine, you're sincere. No, it's the truth. There's no phoniness, no artifice. You are who you are, and that sincerity shines through. And I think it's a wonderful thing.
Thank
it's
you.
a wonderful thing.
Thank you
And
so
I
much.
really don't know right off the bat. I can't think of anybody that has got the magic you got going on with the audience and folks when you put on a show like you're going to tonight. So I'm just I'm honored you're here tonight. Really,
There's a lot of them out there, and I trust me. A lot of what I'm doing, I steal from other people. So I didn't come up with it all.
Oh, man.
Anyway, thank you.
Well,
Thank you guys so much.
We're going to try to do this a professional outro here. So anyway,
Yeah, let's hear the
here
theme
we
song, the
go.
credits. Let 'em
Yeah,
roll.
here we go. Well, all right. Big thanks to Verlon Thompson and our host, Lee Zimmerman. Check out Lee's book, Americana Music, Voices,
Yeah.
Visionaries, and Pioneers of Non-Sound. Now available on Amazon. Pay me later. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to my Backstage Pass on your favorite platform, and we'll see y'all next time. Happy trails.
Happy trails.
See y'all.
See ya.